So President Trump has a possible solution to fix the mess in Washington. He tweeted out the reason for the plan negotiated between the Republicans and Democrats is that we need 60 votes in the Senate, which are not there. We either elect more Republican senators in 2018 or change the rules now to 51%. Our country needs a good, quote, shutdown in September to fix mess. Here now is Republican Congressman Jeff Duncan from South Carolina. He's a member of the House Freedom Caucus. So what do you think the president meant there by a good shutdown?
Well, I think he meant a good fight. I think it's time to really address the things that we promise and pledge to the American people that we're going to do when we're asking for the majority in Congress and we're asking you to give us the White House. And that's fight for those things like a border wall. He ran on that. Defunding sanctuary cities, defunding Planned Parenthood, really addressing spending levels. We're $20 trillion in debt. I think that all that is inclusive in what he's talking about.
And none of that, by the way, was inclusive in the budget deal. And that's why I believe you called it crap, which meant a lot of people ask, what did he really mean by that? I mean, you obviously don't like it. What are you going to do with it?
No, I don't like it. Democrats are celebrating because they got everything they wanted. Even Lindsey Graham said that this is a bad deal.
But did they really? I mean, Congressman, you heard Mick Mulvaney. He made a pretty good case that, no, they didn't get everything they wanted. That's the press and the Democrats' spin on it. There's a lot of things they didn't get. They didn't want the military spending that the president got. There were some cuts here, some cuts there. Yes, he didn't get a wall. He didn't get to cut funding for sanctuary cities. But what else? In what other ways do you think the Democrats won?
Well, they defeated President Trump and get his priorities. I think that's one of their biggest celebrations. It's obvious they're celebrating over this and that they got more of what they wanted.
Well, again,
yeah, they didn't agree with the military funding.
Congressman,
but,
are they celebrating, or is it just they're trying to make up for the fact that the president got a budget plan through and they wanted to force him to shut it down, the government?
Well, I think they're celebrating in that Chuck Schumer won on this deal, and that is going to set the tone for future negotiations, whether it's infrastructure or whether it's a debt ceiling coming up or whether it's that September bill. Chuck Schumer's in the driver's seat because of the 60-vote threshold in the Senate. I think that is probably what they're celebrating going forward.
Well, there is somebody who agrees with you on that. Rush Limbaugh, I was listening to him earlier today. He said, if this is what we get, and I'm paraphrasing him here, so forgive me, Rush, but he said, essentially, if this is what we get with a Republican president and a Republican Congress, why vote Republican? To which you say what?
Well, I agree with him. We asked America to give us the majority in the House, majority in the Senate, and give us the White House, which they did. America's frustrated when they see this sort of budget deal come forward and the priorities that we talked about. The promises and pledges that we've made the American people were abandoned in this deal. Yeah, we got some good things in there. We're plussing up the military. We're increasing border security, but we're not building a wall. Physical barriers are what President Trump talked about. I think that's what the American people heard. We promised we would defund Planned Parenthood. We didn't do any of that. And so I think Rush Limbaugh's right on this.
So if you're that frustrated with the budget deal, what kind of hope do you have for any passage of a health care reform bill?
Well, I do have hope that we'll pass a health care reform bill because we're talking about reconciliation.
This week, by the way, you think it'll happen this week?
I don't know. That's a question for leadership. I'm a yes. I got to a yes after a lot of work, sweat, blood, and tears over this deal. I applaud Mark Meadows, members of the Freedom Caucus, for making that bill much better bill. Although it doesn't repeal Obamacare, it doesn't really do a lot of the things that we promised the American people that we would do, but we are constrained by reconciliation. And I think the American people are starting to understand that the bird rule over in the Senate rules are constraining what the House can do with the repeal bill. We'll get that. We'll get a lot of rollback of regulation and rules, 6,000 pages at HHS with Secretary Price and his commitment, and then we'll work on the free market reforms of associational health care plan, the GEICO model of allowing insurance to be purchased across state lines. That's where the free market reform will come in standalone legislation.
Competition is good. Congressman Jeff Duncan, thank you, sir. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here.
God bless.